You are watching Learn Excel.
There's a couple requests that I occasionally get in my power seminars that seem very simple, but actually are very, very hard to pull off. One request that comes up a lot is people will say that we want to add a blank row after every subtotal. Let me quickly add subtotals by customer. I choose one cell in the customer region and click the A to Z button to sort by customer. I'll move to the subtotal command and say at each change in customer, and leave the rest of the settings the way they are. Click OK, and Excel will add our customer totals for us. Now the hard part is, how do we add a blank row after every subtotal row? There really is no good way to do this. And if you actually have to give the file to your manager, he will see that you're doing a little bit of cheating in this next trick. But if you're only going to be printing out the report, no one will know that you didn't really add the totals in. The first step is we want to collapse to see just the to group and outline button. And we want to select just the customer totals. So I'm going to select from E67 down to I592. Now, if I would change the row height, at this point, I've actually changed the row height up at the detail rows as well, so I need to select just the visible cells only. Again, the shortcut for that is Alt semicolon. I'm going to apply a row height here, and that's located on the Home tab of the ribbon. On the right-hand side, you'll see the Format drop-down, and then choose row height. We start out with a row height of 12.75, and I want to double that to about 25.5. Excel has now made our rows double high, but we still need to do one more thing to complete this trick. If I would show the detail rows, you would see that the subtotal actually appears underneath a blank. So there'd be a detail row, a blank, and then the subtotal. We need to move the subtotals up so that way they are at the top of all of these cells. Now this was a very hard thing to do in Excel 2003, but Microsoft has added a button right to the Home ribbon to allow us to change the vertical alignment of all the selected cells. It's right underneath the word Data in the ribbon, the three vertical align buttons. You'll see that currently we are bottom aligned. I need to choose top align. That will complete the trick. Now, when I go back to the 3 view to see all of our detail rows, you'll see that it appears that after each subtotal, there is a blank row. You can print this out, and people will believe that you actually inserted the blank rows. Only you and I know that it's not really happening. Now, one more trick in automatic subtotals comes up sometimes if you have data that covers a long period. Sometimes what will happen is we'll have one account number through a merger and acquisition, the customer name changed during the course of the data set. In that case, you would not want a subtotal by customer because you would end up with 2 totals for that customer, one with the old name and one with the new name. I'm going to remove these subtotals and add new subtotals by the account field. Select a single cell in your data set and then go to the Data tab of the ribbon and choose the Subtotals command. Click Remove All to remove the current subtotals. We need to make sure that the data is now sorted by account, so choose one cell in the Account column and click the A to Z button. Choose the Subtotal command again and say at each change in account, use the sum function to add the subtotal to the same field as before. Click OK, and Excel has now added one subtotal for every unique account number. Now this works out great until you go to the number 2 group and outline button. If you're a heavy-duty data analyst, there's a good chance that you've remembered that A106 is a particular customer, but whatever manager you give this report to will have no clue what those customer numbers really mean. We need to find a way to copy the customer name down from the row above. Again, we're going to use the visible cells only trick, this time in column E. I'm going to select from E67 down to the last customer total in 591. Again, I want to select visible cells only using Alt semicolon. You'll notice that I'm currently in cell E67, and I want to add a formula here that's going to point to E66. Using the keyboard, I'll type equal E66. I want to add this exact same formula to all of the cells in the selection, so instead of hitting Enter, I'll use Control Enter, and Excel automatically copies the customer total down from the row above. Let's take a look by hitting the number 3 group and outline button. And you'll see that the formula in row 72 for Amazing Chopstick is basically taking the value from E71. Great way to very quickly copy fields that are not in your subtotal down to the subtotal rows to help those who are reading the report when it's in collapsed mode. Well, there you have it, the automatic subtotals command, along with many additional features that you can use in the command. Being able to format just the subtotal rows, being able to copy just the subtotal rows, and the special tricks that you need to do when you need to add subtotals by multiple columns. Okay, so at this point we have to close the file, which normally in any former version of Excel would have meant going to the File Close menu. The one annoying thing here in Excel 2007 is we no longer have a file menu. Instead, we just have a round ball with an office icon. I don't know what I'm supposed to call this. In the original beta versions, when I was working with the beta versions of Excel 2007, it actually said File. So in my head, I still think File Close. But if I tell you to do File Close, there is no word File. I think Microsoft is calling this the office icon. If you want, we could call it the icon formerly known as File, or let's just call it File. So we're going to go to File Close to close the file. In this case, I don't need to save the changes, so I'll click No. Wow, and there's some other data back there. So let me close the other files.